Hello, thanks for joining us. It's Wednesday, February 10th, time for the Trade of the Week webinar. I'm Scott Olson, Director of Marketing at Trade Ideas. Your host tonight will be Dan Merkin, Founder, CEO, and also assisting is Steve Gomez, one of our educators. The audience is muted for the program. Please address your questions to the questions panel. If you have a direct question for Dan, the presenter, you may wish to hold off on that question until the later half of the presentation so he can answer you directly. And I have a couple quick questions for you before we get started. We just like to keep track of demographics of the attendees. There's a poll on your screen. Please select one. Do you currently have an active Trade Ideas subscription or not? Like I mentioned, this helps us keep track of the type of attendees that are coming to each of our webinars so we can plan accordingly. And those of you who do not currently have an active subscription, stick around to the later half of the presentation. I will come on with a product code and a discount package that's actually a pretty exciting package, and it's going to be going away next Tuesday, so you're going to want to find out about that for sure. I'll leave the poll open for another couple moments so the majority of you can vote. It looks like only half-half so far. All right, it looks like the majority have had a chance to vote. So I'll share that with the audience. It's almost half and half today. We have 52% have an active, 48% do not. Those of you, like I mentioned earlier, that do not, stick around. There will be discounts available later in the presentation. One more follow-up for you, and this is addressed towards those of you who are subscribers. Do you currently have the AI Odds Maker license? If you've been attending recently or paying attention to any of our announcements at all lately, you know that we have the AI, our artificial intelligence opportunity discovery engine, Holly, and access to her is the same requirement as access to our OddsMaker backtesting module, and that's a one-time license that I will explain a little bit in detail later on in the presentation. And those of you who do not currently have the OddsMaker or AI, just like I mentioned, for those of you who are not currently subscribers, hang out for the rest of the meeting, and we will have a way for you to get on. That package I mentioned that's expiring on Tuesday includes a full year and all access to the AI, and it's a great, great price. Okay, so it looks like it's 60% do not and 40% do. Thank you for participating in the poll. And now we're ready to get started. I'll turn you over to Dan. If you have questions, address them to the questions panel, please. Thanks.
Scott, thank you very much. Everyone, I'm going to do a quick audio check. Please let me know if you can hear me. Okay, fantastic. I want to thank everybody for taking their time and coming to our webinars. These webinars specifically are focused really on ideas for making money. As everyone can see, I just have an image of our homepage up. We just redesigned it. So for those of you that are not familiar with Trade Ideas, Trade Ideas is an investment discovery software where we have technology that's looking at all the data coming through the exchanges, and we're trying to find out what data is statistically a good trade and what's just information, noise. So we've been doing this since 2012, and our biggest achievements so far is this. It's Holly. It's a full AI engine, a living, breathing engine that is looking to take information out of the stock market and give you an edge that has never been seen before. So from our homepage, you can click on the Learn More link and really find out how it works and what we do. So that's kind of my prelude to the Trade of the Week webinar. So before we begin, everyone please understand that Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor. All the information that you're going to hear from me is for educational and informational purposes and is not construed as investment advice. So here we have a link that shows you how, since we've launched Holly, our AI, how has Holly been doing versus the S&P. Now, just suffice it to say that so far we're incredibly impressed. And even though, again, we're going to have down days like this one and the other one, we're still doing really well. So it's a little rough out there right now. The market really seems to kind of hate itself. There's really a overabundance of fear and things that normally are digested are reacting incredibly violently. So that's the reason for this slide. We want you guys to understand that sometimes, no matter what you have, no matter the kind of systems, it's still going to be rough going. So what I want to do now is I want to bring your attention to my screen. Please let me know if everyone can see it well. I just want to make sure that, again, everyone's seeing the exact same thing. Is everyone able to see the desktop? Okay, great. All right, so our trade of the week was destination maternity. I'm going to kind of expand the chart just so that everyone can see. So Destination Maternity is a company that does women's clothing. It's a retailer. So there's an interesting, again, you have to ask yourself why our AI is picking something up in the first place. So Destination Maternity has kind of had a rough going since about February of last year, when it really started to hit this snag and then continued downward cycle. It tried to form a bottom, then failed, tried again, and then really failed. Okay, but something interesting happened at this particular point. So from this point to this point, Destination Maternity had one of the most significant uninterrupted up moves that was recorded. You know, bigger than this one, but similar. And again, bigger than this one. You can see it right here. It then had a very, again, violent move back. But listen, we're here searching for alpha. So when we brought this up, what we were looking at, what the AI was looking at, is exactly, so these buyers, so there were real buyers here. Okay? Now it's very possible, and again, we're not trying to be psychologists. You know, I'm just trying to give you an understanding of what it is that our AI is looking for, because our AI is looking for footprints. You know, and the footprints, it's kind of like it's a combination of what's happening here, what kind of price move, and then how this is reacting. You know, what is the behavior of this move vis-a-vis this move. So all of these things, they're kind of like markers, and our AI does its best to pick them up. So that we picked up this marker for Destination Maternity right over here, and again, you know, obviously there's protective stops for everything we do, but you can see that the market right now, I mean, as the slide said, it's rough going. So trying to find things that are going to run is challenging in general, but you can see the potential right? And we talked about the potential energy going from potential energy to kinetic energy. This exists right here because of this. So that's the rationale, at least the high-level AI rationale for why we picked destination maternity. Okay. So once you're at Trade Ideas, again, it's not just about the AI coming up with things and giving you the ability to work on it. It's really being able to take advantage of it. And by the way, everyone, I'm gonna answer your questions towards the second part of the presentation. Okay, a lot of things that I've mentioned before is that in order to really be able to capture alpha, you have to really forget a lot of the things that you've learned about what is and isn't good because you've been taught poorly. And by the way, a lot of this also has to do with the thing that was just mentioned, volume. You know, what volume is a strictly relative sort of thing. What is low volume to Google and versus Apple or some other stock is totally different. And for a retail investor, and I'll say this again, this is some of the best advice you're ever going to hear. For a retail investor, if you're buying anywhere from 100 to 1,000 shares, you can certainly be in a stock that is trading 80,000 shares in a day. It's no problem. In fact, all that means is if there's another serious buyer, it's not going to take much to move the stock. So, understand that volume is not at all the end-all, be-all of finding things that go. So I wanted to do, again, something really special for this Trade of the Week webinar. So we discussed destination maternity. We're going to look at other things that are setting up, and we always do this. We're going to show you what the AI is kind of like, what's on the menu, what we're looking at. But I'm now going to also flip the tables. I want to show you some things that are setting up on the downside because it really, when the market sells off, sometimes there's no faster money to be made than money that's made on the downside. So we have 3 windows today that I'm going to show you that, again, showcase the power of Trade Ideas because you can basically take something that you see in one window and really, with one click, invert it. And you get the inverse, and we're going to talk about those. So let's go take a look at what's setting up. So we have this window. It's called the Trend Change Lubricant. So I'm going to show you again what it looks like and why the software suggests that things are really, different, possibly this time. So Trade Ideas gives you the ability to do almost everything you need at a very, very cheap price. We have charting, you can mark everything up. So what I'm going to do is, oops, I'm going to grab this trend line and I'm going to kind of extend it out and I'm going to draw it all the way out here. Okay, so this is basic stuff. So here's a trend that we're talking about, a trend line that was still valid in July of 2015, was just recently broken by glue. This is a very positive sign. So we're definitely watching this because it's trading on a high relative volume. And this move, I'm going to expand it, came on significantly unusual volume. And again, while volume is not the end-all, be-all, it does not hurt at all. So here, we, and very, very possible, Alice. So here we're talking about what's setting up. And it's very possible for stocks to become discussed more than once. Because here, you can see it was setting up, but failed. Okay, so the next one is overstock. Okay, so you got to remember that these things are all what I call setting up. And setting up is basically like when a behavior happens, it's a little bit different. Now, you always have to be warned that here overstock was setting up too, but then just had a failure. And here it was too, but then had a failure. So it's not like it's immune to failure, but the idea is that if you use proper risk management, you still open yourself up to a huge potential. Look at this move today. No pullback at all. This is what you call a real buyer. Okay? So we're going to do the same thing, mark up, put up a trend line. And we're going to see what we get from it. So here, again, if you link the very tops, what you see is that only today, okay, only today did this get broken. So this is definitely what you call a trend change lubricant. Now, if the market gets positive and if there's any pullback, and if it maintains above this trend line, which is at, I think the low points are right at 1218, this overstock looks very promising for a potential continuation and filling the gap that happened right here. That's what we would want to see. Okay. So remember that when you guys are at the Trade Ideas Trade of the Week webinar, you know, some of you are subscribers, some of you are not subscribers. So I'm constantly, you know, kind of going back and forth. I try not to jump into the features so much, but really just talking about the setups, what they look like, so you can actually see the charts and make some decisions whether you want to get into it or something like it. Okay, CSX, and again, hopefully you're able to see that and there always are, by the way. I mean, here's the thing. There's no silver bullet in the market, right? All you can do is mathematically try to approach to solve a problem. I mean, people often just have these fantasy thoughts about what happens in the market. So I want to kind of dispel them, but I want to do it so that you can see how there is so much to risk management as well as being able to find the right setup that goes. Okay, so I'm going to show you something, right? So here, and part of this, again, is just being able to also understand how to, you know, how to read what it is that you're doing. So here's an example where here's a downward trend for CSX. Okay. Now this downward trend line was broken right here, okay, to the upside. It traded to it. I mean, it gets complicated because trend lines are not, it's not pixel wide. It's just a general area, right? So that's one of the issues with drawing trend lines. And then it starts to form this positive channel, right? So from here, you're talking about 25 to a high of 30. You know, okay in percentage moves, but it really tried to go. And we would have been saying that this whole move is kind of like a trend change lubricant / trade of the week type of move. But with the rest of the market, there was a complete failure. But that does not mean that this new path will not find the right trajectory to go, because again, it's just a combination of the market finds the right bottoms, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get into a situation where we get in a trade, right? And it's possible, like, and I'm going to bring this up just as an example. Part of it is how crazy it is. So let's look at Solar City here, okay, on the daily, and I'm going to zoom. I mean, look at this volatility, right? So you've got the stock that's at $60 on the August the 15th. Volatility trades to 38, gaps down, continues down to 24, and then literally rips back up to 60 to come back down and then go to 18. There's so much potential here. Like, you shouldn't be thinking about how terrible this is. All this is a lesson that buy and hold is just something that's a fantasy. Solar City is, I have it in my house. It's a good company, and the company and the stock sometimes are not related. This behavior is just so erratic, but there's huge opportunities of being able to catch the mean reversions. I mean, look at this, from 24 to 60. This was a move that people caught. This is what we are trying to do. This is why you're at Trade Ideas. I mean, here's a 2-month, 100% move. That's what we're all finding. That's what we're all trying to find. That's what we're looking for here, right? Heaven forbid, what if this thing really catches, fire? Same thing with overstock. I mean, look at that. You're talking about going from 13 to possibly 27 if we get back to where we were before. So sorry about that. I had my mic off.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you forgot to unmute yourself.
Sorry about that, guys. I was saying that you can have a strategy, like the trend change lubricant. You can invert it and find very interesting setups that are now failing, like Abercrombie and Fitch. This looks like, remember, it's like an inverted trade of the week. Gap up, and now it's looking like it might start filling that gap. So we're going to look at, and remember too that although we don't publish short opportunities for trade of the week, the market has been so volatile and so tough that you have to be aware that there's easier money to be made on the short side. Here's another example. Look at this one. BNK gaps up, and then look at this perfect failure. Definitely look at this one for continuation. XL trending lower. And VCRA completely curling over this high volume upward move. Anytime that something like this is setting up, you could see upon a break a very quick move to the downside. So again, since you're here, for me, one of the things that I'm trying to communicate is, even if you're not a customer, write some of these names down. If you are already a Trade Ideas customer, just ask us and we will send you the inverted versions of some of my windows so that you can have all the same information that I have. So again, this is what it looks like when things start looking ugly. So I've got this one that says, I don't feel so good. So these are stocks that just look like, there is not a bottom forming. Vivint Solar, it's kind of acting similarly to Solar City. Now, again, all of this is, look at this right here. And look at these moves. Imagine yourself, okay, playing this from here, playing some of these breaks. There's absolutely no reason that cannot be a strategy, and this is what it looks like. Many successful investors In fact, one would argue that to really be a successful investor, you have to allow yourself to take advantage of this sort of stuff. Um, Again, John, I don't know how you trade, and again, I'm going to ask and answer questions later, but illiquid is a relative term. You know, if you're a small investor and if you're a retail investor and if you're not trading 5,000 shares, what do you need, you know, millions of shares being traded? In fact, this working the spread and all these things are just, they're things that are helping you, not hurting you. Again, looking terrible. Right on the breakdown. So for me, part of today's lesson is really that there's two sides of the trade ideas trade of the week. There's this side, the side where our algorithms are looking for that turnaround. You know, like this is like, what does the sign of a turnaround look like, right? Well, it kind of looks like this. So that's why proof point is an example of landing on, hey, when you see this, you have to pause and ask yourself, could this continue? And again, we don't know yet, but it's certainly because of the type of move it is, it's landed on our radar of a possible continuation. And what's interesting too is that other big names are as well. Look at Netflix. Okay, so this is a window that focuses on stocks that are trading a large percentage of their whole float, and that's kind of like using physics to help you in find momentum. When something is trading a percentage of its float, that's a good thing for a likelihood of something continuing, right? So look at Fitbit, for example, right? Fitbit today traded 30% of its float. That means 30% of all the shares outstanding changed hands. That's crazy. 23 for Pure, and so on. Scott, why don't we take a pause and give everybody a high-level overview of how we run the business, and then I'm going to come back and really show them where the alpha is hiding.
That sounds good. Why don't we pull up the slide where it shows the pricing structures? Actually, let's go to the previous one too. I just wanted to mention that if you weren't going to yet. With trade ideas, we do a lot of reaching out to our clients, and we provide a great community and infrastructure for everyone to trade. We have a trader's room. It's open every day during market hours, and it's moderated by our Barry Einerson, who's a very knowledgeable user of trade ideas and a successful trader. And the room consistently has 150, 210 people in it every day, also using our technology and trading. And people are calling out plays. It's an exciting place to be, and it's a great support. And it's a great support mechanism for using our software and trading successfully, even if you're not one of our clients. It's free to everyone. I suggest everyone go to it every day. We also have other support webinars every week. On Mondays, not this coming Monday because of the holiday, but every other Monday, we have office hours with Jamie Hodge and Steve Gomez, our educators. And they review successful ways to trade, what the market's doing now, new trade ideas features. We have the QA and demo sessions on Wednesdays, usually hosted by Dan Merkin and Brad Williams, where we show the new features, the upcoming features, some product overview, and then also delve into questions about how to best use the software, and we give good lessons in exploring everything. We have Jamie's Studios on Thursdays. You should be getting an email about that one tonight. Go ahead and sign up for that and come tomorrow. It's hosted by, again, our educators, Jamie Hodge and Steve Gomez, and they talk about trading, not just using the software. It's great support, and they also show you tips and tricks on how to get the most out of trade ideas and the AI. So now let's go to the next slide here, and this is our pricing schedule. So we're a software as a service company, and we have subscription plans. Our core subscription plan is $99 a month, no contract. You can opt into the annual at any time. to replace your monthly to replace your monthly subscription, and the annual saves you a bundle every year. It's $888 a year. Both include all of your real-time data feeds. It includes the charting, and you get a full hour of one-on-one training. As soon as you sign up for Trade Ideas, go to the support section, click on training, and select the preferred time from the calendar. And there you go. To get access to the artificial intelligence investment discovery engine, Holly, our AI, requires owning the AI strategies and odds maker license, and that's a one-time $1,100 license that gives you lifetime access to those parts of Trade Ideas. So as long as you have an active subscription, once you get the AI strategies, you will always have access to those higher functions, and it'll give you trades that are performing today in the market now. Or you can take your own strategies and back test them and optimize them yourself without any programming. It's a very sophisticated software. Dan's going to talk to you about that now and also answer all of your questions. Dan?
Scott, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, guys, I try, on this webinar, I try to focus more on stocks, you know, the interesting things that I want you to be aware of. But there is no better place for you to be able to have an edge than at Trade Ideas. And I just don't want to be too superlative on the webinars, but we're very proud of what we do. We believe we're the only technology that can beat the market out of anyone out there, and it's because of our data, because of all the custom data points that we have, that we're able to see things in a different way. So here, again, I give examples of the different windows where if I'm clicking on something, I can see the price action, but also fundamental data. This combination of being able to glance and quickly see the relevant data points helps you make decisions more quickly, and as a result, gets you to the trade more quickly and helps you win. So again, the float-on stocks are the ones that are setting up to the upside, and there's some overlap. Really interesting, right here. Now notice the similarities between WCG and OSTK. Let's go again. Very similar, violent kind of move to the upside. And here's another thing to think about. Look right here on this day. Probably thought that it was very overdone, right? Not exactly. So there is this continuation. It happens. And that's ultimately what we search for. I mean, here's the thing again, that let's go back, right, and do some analysis why this is important. Because the idea is that from these webinars, we're trying to give you a vantage point where you can make the kind of decisions that are really going to pay dividends in the long term. So here you can see that just yesterday, this trend line going back to September of 2015 was broken. And once it was broken, in this case, there really was some momentum. So you definitely need to watch WCG, especially if the market turns around in any sort of way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to answer some of your questions. What do you guys have? Is there anything specific that you want me to ask, to tell you about in terms of trade ideas, in terms of a stock, in terms of back testing, in terms of the artificial intelligence, the channels? We just modified the channel bar. We have a new channel called the volume channel. So Gregory, the answer to your question is that it really varies. Most of the time, I'm really trying to follow the trade ideas AI during the day, and those signals are signals that, you know, they're done completely by the AI. So I try to follow that, but the way I do it is I'm watching and seeing if the overall systems are working, and if they are, then I follow more. If they're not, then I do less. Okay, let's take a look at Sienna. That was a different one. So Sienna totally still has the same potential. So if you look at Sienna, I mean, it's just on that trend. And if you extend it out, here, I'm gonna just move it. Whoops. Because really, again, you want to be at the next bottom. So yeah, Sienna still looks very good, and as everyone knows, that's been our trade, one of our trade of the week, and it's continuing to go. UEC, let me take a look. Oh yeah. You know, UEC, for me, like, you'd have to see it above 115, and because it's such a small stock, I mean, to really get interesting, I mean, you want to kind of be above here. Now, I know that's like, you know, or maybe like, let's say like right above here. So here I'm using our alerts, and I'm adding an alert to it, and now I've got that line trigger. So whenever I want to see, so, and that's how I can work on everything. So every single stock that I like, right, in trade ideas, when I see something, I can just go to it and I can say, okay, continuation. And I get like, basically, like I am a part of the AI. So now I've got this alert for IMPV. I can go back. I never have to worry about it. You know, I can go to other stocks. When I click on IMPV, here it is. So it really helps, again, when you've got everything that you need to manage the ideas all in one place. Okay, sure. So we take our AI and we compare the point gains, assuming that the AI is trading one share, to how much the SPY is up or down, and we subtract commissions from each trade on, you know, like a retail commission. So we basically say we spend, I think, like $7 in, $7 out, and then that's and that's how we compare against the S&P. So we have a commission and AI points versus S&P points. Like today, the S&P was down, but still probably did a little bit better than the AI. Like today, I'll show you what the AI looked like. So the AI started off, it only had 2 trades the whole day, but then it tried to play the long side at the last hour. And again, that happens because the odds were setting up. It's just like counting cards. You know, it can't predict the future, but right in the last hour, it thought, like right here, the move that the AI thought was to do was to play the power hour longs. And these were the trades that it was in, INCY. And you can, and I was actually showing somebody else this, like, so EXPE at 94, you know, and then it gapped up after earnings. So it lost on these Netflix right here. But look at what it's trying to do, right? Not only is the AI trying to find good trades during the day, but it really is also looking for long-term things that potentially let you really be in something for more than a day. Let me take a look at RRTS. Love this pattern. This is definitely right up the trade ideas, trade of the week. A lot of very good things. Like in fact, so see right here, I would put an alert. I'm going to put an alert right here and say gap fill, watch per run. So see right now, as soon as RRTS crosses that, I'm going to know and get long because I'm going to look for this move. That's, by the way, Leon just gave everyone a phenomenal name. Thank you, Leon. That's a really good example of what you would want to look for. Again, especially what I like here is you've got the big gap down and then there's a base. Now, people get often very critical, like, oh, well, this low was lower than this low. Listen, there's no exact science here. The point is that this is still a base. It's taking time, and now it's here. And so the question, okay, let me so these are the limit alerts. Alice, I'm getting better. It's just the cough. I actually feel quite fine, but sometimes when I keep speaking, it's just the way I speak. I'm very passionate about what I'm trying to say, and sometimes I get a little dry in my throat. I appreciate that, but yeah, it happens. So these limit alerts, they are out already, but they're just in the development beta, and all we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that everything works, and it does now. So they're getting ready to be released, I'm going to say, beginning of next week. We just added more columns and specifically, so you can see better information. Okay, AMD. Cover that. Okay, so AMD looks terrible. Why does AMD look terrible? Because of this. I like this part of it. This could be a beginning of a formation, but I wouldn't be interested until it was above 2. So, like 202. And I'll call this. So what's really cool about what we do with these limit alerts is not only do we have them, and again, this is a big reason for you guys to all be using trade ideas, but I can take all of the alerts that I have and I can just shift click and I can save and share them all to the cloud. So what that allows me to do is that allows me to basically take my alerts and share them with the rest of the community and trade ideas. That sharing really gives you an advantage because, again, now it's kind of like crowdsourcing your own analysis and you're becoming your own AI. One of the things that has always frustrated me is that I would see something, and unless you have a really good way to never forget, unless you've got the discipline to either put it in watch lists and make markers, it was really easy to lose track of something. Well, the big thing that we're doing is that we're doing this so that you never lose track of anything. And Alice, you're exactly right, and we're going to be doing that so that you can take a trade that, let's say, was that you were in, and I'll just use this one as an example. So here I was in a trade. It actually went up, it came down, but I can then go back and say, okay, here's my entry, and I can say, get in again. From AI. And now, again, I've got my signal. So at Trade Ideas, the big thing that we really bring to the table is the last bits of innovation come to completely just change how you approach working with ideas, being able to never really lose them, and making sure that you can maintain that focus on the highest odds available. So, Scott, I think, again, with the evening, I always want to end it sooner than later because, again, I think we covered a lot of information. Glue, OSTK, I mean, these are the big ones to watch on the upside. And, of course, Leon gave a really, really good one with RRTS. You know, really like that formation. Yeah, so Mitch, when an alert is triggered, it's either a pop-up or a sound. I have text-to-speech that it works, so it can do both. It can pop up or it can do the sound, either way. All right, guys, Scott, I'm handing it over to you.
Sounds good. Let's try slide 7, and I want to direct everyone's attention to the handouts panel on your GoToWebinar interface. There's a PDF waiting there for you that has some of these slides too. So go ahead and download that now. To thank everyone for attending, we like to give out a promotional code, and then we also have a package I'm going to talk about in a moment. So if you use this code, and it is case sensitive, the one you see highlighted, Holly10 on checkout, HOLLY 10, before the end of business on Friday, that takes half off your first month, 20% off your first year, or 30% off the lifetime oddsmaker license, which gives you the AI. So, for example, if you're currently with us at $99 a month and you would like to add the AI, you can get that for just $770, and you have that for as long as your subscription's active, whether you come or go. You can get in for the year at just $710 for your first year, or try us for the first month at just $49. There's no contract. It's super easy, and then come to the trading room every day, and you will get great lessons on how to use the software. Also, sign up for the training. As soon as you sign up for Trade Ideas, go to our support page, get the training lined up, get the schedule. Now, the next slide is really the crux of the whole thing this week. We took the Holly build version 4 out of beta and put it in production, so which means we're going to retire the 1288 price point for getting everything together at once. What this package has is a full year of Trade Ideas and the lifetime oddsmaker AI license. So it's basically like getting the AI for free. If you paid for Trade Ideas at $99 a month for a year, that's basically $1,200. Here you get the lifetime AI license for that. So it saves you $700 immediately. So the way to get that is to click on the link in your PDF that you see on that page, or type it into your browser now, like bit.ly/AI Holly. And it is case sensitive, so you need to capitalize AI Holly. That'll take you to a page where you can just click right through, get the whole thing. It's a great upgrade, and we're taking this package down on February 16th at the end of business. So you have until the day after President's Day, and then this price point goes away since Holly is no longer in beta. She has been released to the world. Again, this includes the hour of training. It includes everything. It includes, and it puts you in to renew at $888 every year moving forward, even if we raise prices for the annual. So this is outstanding. I don't know if Dan wants to add anything to this, but this is something you'll regret not getting if you don't get it before next Tuesday.
Well, Scott, thank you. I was going to say that, in essence, we're giving the AI away for free here because, you know, if you look at how much $99 is times 12, it's very close. Yeah. That's how confident we are that this is the premier way. If you're an active investor, you know, and you should be an active investor, buy and hold is dead. It doesn't work. Modern times have changed, and we are the best investment discovery platform. And this is certainly the easiest way to get it when it's free. So
yeah, that's for sure. And if you have any questions, just email us, info@trade-ideas.com. That goes directly to our support desk. Or email Dan directly. He's Dan@Trade Ideas. Follow Dan on Twitter @TradeIdeas1. We also provide a lot of interesting stuff on our regular Twitter feed @Trade Ideas. We sometimes post unique items to Facebook, so follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/TradeIdeasPro. Again, Dan, thanks for the excellent presentation. Thanks everyone for joining us this evening. Gregory, if you're not a member, go to the bottom There's a link to the chat room at the footer navigation on the bottom, and it's free to get in. If you have a problem getting in, email info@trade-ideas.com and we'll help you out. But it's free and it's easy to use. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, thanks, everyone. No problem, Greg. We'll be happy to help you out. Just email us. Perhaps you're trying to enter a password or username in the wrong location. It happens sometimes. There's a portion of that page that tricks people sometimes. Again, thanks, everyone. Have a good evening. Thanks, Dan. You're all going to get a link to the recording of this video later tonight, or at least by tomorrow morning. Bye, guys.